Hi students, welcome to the September 2023 Strategic Business Leader ACCA. This time they have given you a pre-scene material, so I'll just write down here first time in ACCA, first time in ACCA P level history. So this is the first time every student has got a pre-scene material. But before SBL earlier, you will not be getting any materials regarding the industry, and this was the biggest challenge to many students in the past. Now, students, if I'm not mistaken, since you have the industry, please understand it very well. Industry, you will be able to understand two things very well before the examination. One is known as the commercial acumen, and if you are very much aware about the commercial acumen, the skepticism will become very easy for your students. If I'm not mistaken, the skepticism will become very easy for you. You can make your idea very skeptic. You can ask question probes in the scenario. And then students, since you are already aware about the business, your analysis will become stronger. And the final thing is they will give you some evaluation professional skill, which will also be a valid advantage because of the pre-seen material available in advance. And finally, the other skill that you have to master is the communication skill, which is also possible at the end of the day. The next thing, students, very important is time management, because I'll write down here time management, because if you observe students, the examination now it's 3 hours examination with 15 minutes of additional reading time they give. But students, in the previous exam, it was 4 hours examination and you did not have a pre-sim. So now you have the pre-sim. So you need to be very much aware about the commercial acumen using the pre-sim material, and time management is very important. And the next change that they have effectively made is you will only have three tasks now. That means three separate tasks, which will be having subtasks as well, students, so that it will be very easier for you all to do the examination. And you will be writing in three different windows. That means if you see in the previous examination in the CBE platform, in SBL exam, you wrote everything in one platform. That means one window. But now for the task one, that is question one, you will have one window. For question two, you will have another window. And for question three, you will have another window. Now, students, before the examination, you need to skim through the materials that is there in the practice platform. You have practice test and the mocks also, but actually the mock is not connecting to the current pre-sim. They have given a different industry. But one thing, students, you can learn from the pre-sim material is if you see the question. So I'll write down here question one, and then students, I'll write down here question two, and I'll write down here question 3. Now students, if you observe, one good advantage that a student can have before the examination is these three questions generally follow the same journal. Generally, it won't be in the same order, it can be mixed somewhere, but definitely they will be having a question regarding strategy specific to the company. Now, example, students, our company in this case is Corjets. So, similar to Corjets, you have to think the strategy using their mission statement, vision statement given, and whether it is fitting for this organization or not fitting. And then, students, there will be a subtask, if I'm not mistaken, which will be effectively focusing on digital strategy, students, because I think in this case study also they have effectively mentioned about the automation function, big data analysis, all those things are there. So students, you should not memorize the pre-scene, but you need to be aware about the pre-scene, and they will give you problems which you have to solve using the commercial acumen. Again, understand the verb clearly, students. It is known as what acumen? Commercial acumen. Understand it very well, commercial acumen. And then students, the question number 2 effectively will be somewhere on the risk area, students, because risk area is a very important section. And then there will be an evaluation on a basic calculation. They will give you an investment appraisal or something like that, where you need to evaluate the thing. So question 2 can come in that aspect. And then students, question 3, definitely this will be on governance and ethics. So governance will be one part and ethics will be another part. Because students, if you observe the current CEO in our company almost leading the position for 10 years, there may be issues relating to her, I can say, retirement and also succession planning. So please keep that in mind, and ethics is also very crucial. And in between that, you can get other areas, for example, like project management. So I'll just write down here, project management can come somewhere in between students. But these are the major aspects they will be asking. And out of the three questions, it is compulsory that they will be testing all the professional skills, and students, the examiner will be very much strict with commercial acumen this time. The reason is you already have the pre-seen material and you need to be very skeptic in the examination, and your analysis is very, very, very crucial. Evaluation is very crucial, and effectively students, the communication, that is how you report to the people, the basic ideology of the communication is also very, 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 very important. So students, I believe that you are getting the ideology here. So question one will be on digital strategy, on the normal strategy, rational planning model. There may be issues, there may be investment projects where you need to check whether it is suitable for this or not suitable for this. And you have to familiarize yourself with all the models using Corjet in the pre-seen material. Now students, I'm just going to do a quick recap of this material as soon as possible. And this will be just like a rapid revision for the students. So firstly, I have to effectively focus on one area, that is the introduction. So introduction, I'll just write down here, commercial acumen. Now students, you have to connect the knowledge here with the aspect of the professional skill. One skill here is commercial acumen. Airline industry, definitely commercial acumen students, correct? No, industry information, overview they have given. So they can analyze the information. The passenger type is an analysis, correct? No students, you need to analyze the passenger. Airline by service is an analysis, correct? No students, airlines by business model is an analysis, agree? Hub versus bespoke, it can be evaluation. You can evaluate the position of current service, everything. And then students, key air transport statistics. Now skepticism can come here because data should be always questioned before you come into a conclusion. And then the flight management service, again it's an analysis skill. Industry challenges, skepticism and commercial acumen, if I'm not mistaken. KPI students, analysis and commercial acumen, because commercial acumen is very, 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 very important. And then the industry body, regulatory body. Once again, you have to remember the students, there is a model called Mandelo matrix. You just have to recap. Don't memorize any models. Apply. The good thing is you can apply. Now, if you see the industry model in this case is a keep informed. If I'm not mistaken, sorry, keep satisfied, because they have high power, but their interest may not be directly to your organization. Their interest will be to all the organization, but they have the rights to suspend your operations as well in case you are breaching the code of conduct. Then students, Corjet overview. This is our business. So again, background, commercial acumen. Corjet growth is a commercial acumen. Ownership, commercial acumen. Corjet key resources, students, analysis. You need to analyze our resources and evaluate also. Broad structure, if I'm not mistaken, students, I can say it can be skepticism, because you have to ask questions regarding their current board structures. Are they following the rule based or principle based on the challenges what is there? And the risk management and the key risk they have given. Students, this will be updated in your examination for a 10 to 15 marks question. So just make sure you are aware about the risk. Don't memorize the risk topic. Just make sure you are aware about the risk. Website details is important when there is a future proposal, because they have given their mission, objectives, everything. Corjet's headline results is also given. The cost breakdown is also given. So students, in our analysis, what we are going to do is, initially we are going to go through Corjet, and then I will come to the industry analysis step by step, so that it will be very easy for you all. And my suggestion is you can just write down the points in a paper or in the pre-seen material, so that you will not be missing any point. So Corjet is a low-cost regional airline business. So low cost. Another term is no frill. I think you would have studied something, this term in strategic lock. There is a model called strategic lock, students. Don't memorize it, have a look on that, students. Low cost regional airport. And then students, cost leadership, students. Porter's generic strategy is also coming here. Just have an idea about the Porter's generic strategy also. It was established 20 years ago. So it's a strong established company's culture. The story is strong here. Remember that. In colon, that is the country what we are operating, students. So diamond theory can come into a ideology. A country located in the continent of Hundrea. So again, it's a country located in a continent of Hundrea because it's a regional operations. Over the years, it has positioned itself as one of the world's leading low-cost airlines. So, like I told you, Porter's cost leadership model, and currently the second largest low-cost airline business operating in Hundrea in terms of passenger numbers. So as per the passenger numbers, they are the second largest. So students, you need to come to the first position. That will be your future challenge. So I can write down here, coming to the first is an opportunity. You have to work out. You have to find out new opportunities so that you effectively come to the first place. That is one target you have. And also you need to make sure that your quality is not compromised. You have a very strong backup and application as well. Corjets currently operates nearly 1,000 routes, destinations over 30 countries across Hundrea. So effectively, the regions are given. So segmentation is very, very important to identify profitable or not profitable. Evaluation can come, students. If possible, go through a case study called Railco. In Railco, students, it's a railway organization which is owned by the government. But in this case, it is a private sector organization, but effectively for the airline industry. So just make sure you have the idea about those. Its head office is based near the city airport, located in the south of Cologne. Hundrea is politically stable and economically developed continent. So that's an advantage we have. And this again goes to the diamond theory, students, because in the diamond theory only, students, we call this as factor condition, if I'm not mistaken. Most countries in Hundrea from a trading bloc, which facilitates free trade, free movement of people within each. Now, in the risk, students, Brexit, I think you may be aware, in UK there was something called Brexit. Now, Brexit can come. Likewise, there can be situations. So remember risk analysis. How are you going to make the decision? Short term, medium term, and the long term. Each country in Hundrea uses its own currency. So if there is a shift in the political decision, there may be a change in the currency. So just keep that in mind as a strategic business leader. Corjet operates point-to-point service, meaning a direct flight, students. They effectively have what flight, students? Direct flights, meaning that operates flights directly between the destination. This means that the passenger do not have to travel to change the flight on a hub airport for the destination, which we can learn later in the industry application, which helps Corjet to reduce the operating cost. It also keeps costs low through no-frill approach by delivering flight delivery, which approximately means in-flight meals are not provided unless paid separately, includes automation of wide range of its processes, including bookings, flight documentation, baggage drop, and flight checking. So cyber risk is something that you have to keep in mind, students. In case there is some cyber security issues, I think the entire process will have a bigger challenges. Additionally, it operates a profitable and a popular portfolio routes over 130 airports. That's what I'm telling. Evaluation is sure here. You will definitely get one calculation on evaluation based on this. So don't just memorize and go. Keep your mind very present. And while you are evaluating the situation, please don't forget the commercial acumen. Now, students, I believe this application is fine. I'm not going to the industry overview directly now. I just want to go back to our organization, Corjet overview, because we are working for this organization in the exam day, and your attitude should be more towards that perspective, employee working in this organization. So Corjet's overview. Corjets was established in Cologne 20 years ago by entrepreneurial brothers Eric, Excel, and Madison. Now, students, biggest, I can say, a blunder you can do in the exam is repeat this in the introduction. Don't do that. Don't repeat this in the introduction. You are wasting your time, because some students have a very bad habit. They repeat the pre-seen material once again in the introduction. No, you are going to report it to the management. Management is already aware about that. So don't go for this in detail. Don't write the history of the company in the present exam. History is not needed on the decision-making situation on exam day. They both had worked for many years in the airline industry and had a keen interest in traveling. With money inherited from their parents, they acquired two second-hand aircraft. They started by operating flights near City Airport, located 40 miles from Cologne's capital city in south of the country, to airports located close to two cities in north of the countries. So this is the story, you culture. If you want to develop culture, you need to have a story, systems, ritual. All those things are there. So this can be a very important story which cannot be replicated by anyone. Now, students using their knowledge and experience of the airline industry, Eric and Excel spotted a gap in the market in colon for more convenient and affordable low-cost airlines. So they exploited the market gap because earlier they did not have this, so they found the market gap. Up to the point, coal and airline industry was dominated by full service carrier. So they have differentiated their business because if you observe, it was like a focus, and now they have effectively focusedly differentiated with cost leadership. So focus cost leadership, effective cost leadership. The low-cost model in coal and airline industry proved extremely popular with air passengers who like the convenience of Corjets point-to-point service, direct flights, and significantly cheaper price than offered by existing full-service carrier. So students, economies of scale is very, very important if you are in a cheaper sector. The population strength is important because if the population is very less, it will be very challenging also. Over the years, Corjet has focused on operating flights to and from airport across Honduras with highest customer demand and continually looks opportunity to expand the network. So they have found the demand as well. Cost efficiency has been overriding the strategic focus. So students, this is one thing they will be having an evaluation on costing. If I'm not mistaken, please make a note about that. They will give you suggestions on how you can manage the cost as well. Limiting factor analysis. So I'll just write down here limiting factor analysis. These are the calculations that can come in the examination as well. This has been delivered through developing and maintaining long-term strategic partnership with aircraft manufacturers, key airports, ground handling operators, and maintenance contractors who maintain Kojek's own aircraft by operating latest and most efficient aircraft. So this is the value system they maintain. They have a very strong value system, and I can say related and supported industry as well. So effectively, students, they are doing supporting very well, and they have data value system. Over the last 20 years, the low-cost model of air travel has continued to be very popular with customers across Honduras, and there are now 30 low-cost airlines operating across Honduras. So students, now see 30 airlines are already operating. That doesn't mean that this is a model where you can be successful now, because it's a bigger threat because the competition rise is there. 30 is a big number, students. It's not a small number as well. And students, please remember, you have to be aware about this data in the exam. This is compulsory because students, if you see the Brigade, the 17% ownership, the Lackland, which is 9%, and the other airlines, which is 60%, that is the remaining 27 is dominating this path. So you have to understand one thing. Now, let's assume if it is a joint venture, there can be a JV between Brigade and Corjet. Joint venture sometimes happens. 17 plus 14, 31%. It's a big number, students. 31% is a big number. And if I'm not mistaken, students, if this forms a cartel or 40% comes, I think these tiny airports will have a struggle because these people will dominate the market also. So just have an idea about those. And Eric and Excel both retired business 10 years ago, but since their departure, Corjet remain focused on maintaining and strengthening low-cost strategic position. So effectively, their main focus is low-cost, cheap airline, and the founders has already left the business as well for your understanding. Now, students, just to make sure things are very clear for your understanding, ownership. Corjet was listed in the coal and stock market 9 years ago. 9 years ago. So successfully, now it's almost the 10th year I think we are operating. 1 year after Eric and Excel retired. So hereafter, I think the owners are no more operating the business. The brothers originally retained 35%. So 35% they had stake initially in the business when it was listed by Sins. They sold most of their shareholdings in Corjet and no longer play any role in the business. So now they don't have that 35. I'm cutting that off. Currently, 80% of the shares are held by large institutional investors. 80% large institutional investors. So Understand it very well, students. Large institutional investors, and 10% is owned by the Corjet employees. The employees are effectively holding 10% of this shares, if I'm not mistaken. Corporate governance issue can come, students, because as per the corporate governance rule, one employee can effectively have 1% only, maximum, less than 1%, because there can be insider trading, so many things can happen. And the others are small private investors. So students, you have to understand the corporate governance is very, very essential in this part. Magna Fisk, the current CEO in Corjet, has been in place for 10 years. She was instrument in Corjet's listing. Now, 10 years she's there. So that's a bigger problem for our organization, because 10 years if she's there means I think she has to retire this time. There needs to be succession plan, everything to happen in the future. And one thing, students, there is a positive correlation. If I say correlation, this can be used for your evaluation in the exam. When the routes are increasing, you see the passengers are also increasing. That means revenue also will increase. So one way to make sure you achieve your goals is increase the routes from Hundrea to some other continents as well. There are opportunities. Now, the key resources, because this is very, very important for the students, because you have to identify the distinct resources and the non-distinct resources. Corjet's key resources. Corjet has a profitable and extensive portfolio route which operates to and from other 130 airports across Hundrea. This makes it very popular with customers who find range of destinations and frequency of flights offered by Corjet very convenient and attractive. Regular reviews its routes network and exploit the latest demand. So effectively that 130 is a very good number, students, and that is the reason they are having a high market share. So if you want to dominate the market, you have to increase your availability in many routes. So that's a good point. But one thing, it can be replicated. So I'll write down here, competitors can replicate it. Because even if competitors try, they can replicate it. It's not a unique resource. Correct, no, students? Replication factor is there. Fleets. Now let's look at the next resource. Corjet operates modern fleets of 300 aircraft. So effectively they have how many aircraft? 300, of which 75% are owned outright and 25 are leased. So students, make a lease or buy question can come. Lease or buy evaluation question. So just make sure you make a note about that, students, and evaluation question on lease or buy can come into the situation. Corjet has invested significantly on the latest aircraft which are more fuel efficient and environmentally friendly. This has contributed significantly to its low cost strategic position and positively reducing carbon emission. Now, carbon emission, environment, ESG, all those things, just have an idea. Corjet's average aircraft is 4 to 5 years old, which is low compared to the industry standards. Just write about CSR also, students, because the carbon emission factor is one important element to be considered in the examination. And also, students, just to make sure, one more thing that you are very much aware and comfortable is this 4.5 years old. They have effectively mentioned it is around 4.5 years old. So just make sure you have an idea about that as well, because asset replacement questions can come. Whether do we need to replace it on time? So be very, very careful on the calculation areas, because examiner is concerned of that as well, how you are able to interpret the data. Corjet focus on leisure passengers rather than business passengers. So our target audience is leisure passengers at the moment, but we don't know. We have the opportunity to target other passengers as well. New business models can emerge. New targeting can come. Therefore, its aircraft cabin consists of economy seats, which of high density layouts, very tight, high density means that gives Corjet 150 seats per aircraft compared with 140 by a similar aircraft operated by its competitor. So it's a packed airport. The higher the seat density allowed Corjet to offer low ticket prices per flight, which is attractive to the customer, especially the leisure customers, because the leisure passengers will love that, because their main focus is not the flight, the destination to reach. Coming to the next one, students, the technology factor. Now, students, if I'm not mistaken, this is a very, 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 very important area, because there can be questions regarding this on a PPT slide. They may be asking you to prepare some PPT slides, something like that. So please be careful of that as well. Corjet applies data analytics extensively throughout its business, consider data to be a key business resource. It has also been an early adopter of the latest technology in airline industry. It currently makes extensive use of technology throughout the business operation. So mobile app which allows passengers to book flight, check-in flights, download boarding pass, print either and flight status. So app is significant reduce the cost of issuing, distributing physical tickets. An enhanced feature in mobile app is integration of live data from the airport information system which passenger booking flight details, allowing personalized instruction updates to be sent. So this is one factor to be considered. In most airport, Corjets operate fully automated baggage check-in machines, which helps to reduce the check-in queues also. So that is also one factor to be effectively considered. All aircrafts are fitted with electronic touchpad for the crews to replace laptops and printed navigational charts for the pilots. This has replaced the need for each flight to carry heavy printed logbooks, which help the reduce of CA2. So these are the current initiatives they have taken, but in the future there can be even few, like artificial intelligence, and then ethics can come into this picture, data transparency, and then students machine learning. So just remember these concepts very well, because they may ask the application, because in the future there can be new technology emerging, so that can be applied thinking that you have to keep in mind. All Corjet aircrafts are fitted with big data servers to collect continuous in-flight data about flight engine performance. Corjet continuously searches for new technology, supports the business operations to improve efficiency and reduce cost. Now, students, the people, now this is one important thing that the students should have an idea of. Corjet employs nearly 11,800 staff, 2,000 are pilot and 6,500 are cabin crew. Now, I have a bigger question here, students, if I'm not mistaken. We have only 300 aircraft. So, I have a bigger question here. Now, see here, we have 2,000 pilots and we have 300 air flights or the flights. So, if you're not mistaken, if you simplify the students, we are effectively, I think it's a huge number, students, if I'm not mistaken. I think we are having around 6 to 7 pilots per flight, if I'm not mistaken. For one flight, we have around 6 to 7 pilots. My question is are we oversized, overstaffed? Because I think this will be an issue, students, redundancy. So can you just write down here redundancy that can come? You can terminate the employees. A change management can come, students. Change management can come into the picture, like resistance to change, Kottas and Selsinger's model, Kurt Lewin, freeze, unfreeze, all those models can come into the examination. So just keep that in mind, students, because it is very important for the students to have an idea of what is that. Customer service, human resource, regular updates are provided to employees on key business issues, which may include regular updated intranet, monthly board meeting, online chat. All those are fine, and weekly staff letters. They are not mentioned anything about the bonus element, how they are given bonus. Compensation is not given. So labor turnover can take place. Their management style has not been mentioned. All Corjet employees undergo full induction program and have access to online learning resources as well as career development opportunities. Internal controls can come, students. You have to make sure how you develop internal control system. Risk can come, fraud can come. Just remember overstaff, online learning, all those are there. Now, this can be again a potential question on corporate governance. Now, actually, if you observe, we are following principle based. I'll tell you how I made a conclusion. It is principle based. The reason is, students, if I'm not mistaken, 10 years we are in the stock market. Now, if it is a rule based, if you are following the rules, you can't survive 10 years. You have to pay fine, suspension, all will be there. So principle based, but rule based can be applied, because if you observe, United Kingdom goes with the principle based, and United States of America is effectively rule based. Because of their Enron scandal, they had something called SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley Act. You can have an idea about that, students. Now, the rule based is, now let's assume if there are 6 executive directors the proportion should be half of the ED. Half of the ED plus 1. That is the technical idea. Now, in my example, 6 executive director means 6. Half of 6 is how much? Half of 6 is 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So 4 executive director, non-executive director must be there. Now, if you observe here, we have 6 executive directors. So we need to have 4 non-executive directors. But if you observe students, we effectively have 5, including the chairman, non-executive chairman, non-executive, 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 non-executive. So in that also one thing is there. And then students, you see the subcommittees, audit, nomination, remuneration, but risk they have made it as safety committee. But there may be questions asking on how the remuneration committee could operate, how the risk committee could operate. So ideologically important. Now see, we have the chief financial officer, chief information officer, chief commercial officer, chief marketing officer, chief people officer, and the chief, if I'm not mistaken, executive officer we have. So I think it's a balanced board if I'm not mistaken. And here we are not aware about what are their effective roles, but still it looks fine. It looks fine at the moment. The next one is risk management and the key risk. Now, students, in the examination, this won't come. They will update this with some new risk, and definitely they will ask you to respond the answers specifically to Corjet. Don't write a past paper memorized answer. Don't write a mock memorized answer. Please make sure that you are writing something which is practical. Please write something which is practical. Again, I'm repeating, students, please write something which is practical and relevant to the situation. And our students, Corjet has a detailed risk register, a robust enterprise risk management, a framework is in place. Board takes responsibility for determining the nature, extent of the risk. It is willing to achieve strategic objectives. It is also responsible for maintaining, monitoring the system of internal controls, risk management. So definitely control issues can come. I'm sure there will be a question, something related to hacking, students. Please be careful about that. There can be a question on fraud also. Please have an idea about that. And then risk management activities are coordinated by risk assurance team, led by the risk manager who reports to the board and the chief financial officer, and the chair and the audit committee. Corjet's key risk includes safety and security of customers and staff, delivering safe and secure operations which meet the expectation of customers, but they have not given the KPIs. You have to design KPIs also. The growing impact of the climate change. Now, these are macro risks. You can't control it. So please remember inherent risk, because carbon emission is an inherent risk, because anyway, without carbon emission, you can't operate a flight. That is the reality. Macroeconomic and geopolitics events such as general economic trends, foreign exchange rates, volatile fuel prices, which all impacts financial performances, availability and security performance of its website, and critical business operations. So have an idea of these, students, because it is very, 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 very important for your understanding and application as well. So students, this is a very, very important thing that you have to have an idea, but don't memorize it, because pre-seen material can be accessed from your CBE platform on the exam day also. We consistently deliver low fares to our customers, operate flight our customers most want to travel to. Our cost advantage and leading position across Hundria. Now, this Hundria should be updated to global in the future, because you are telling you are the cheapest in the world. I think it was mentioned. So you need to become a global Hundria. This needs to be updated in the future. Mission statements to connect the people of Hundria through affordable and sustainable air travel. That's a good point. And I can say affordable and safe, because safety is also important, students. Safety. And if possible, they can include comfort also. Some minimal comfort must be there. Minimal comfort, just for the idea. Our values. Now, values are broken effectively, I think, into 5 parts. So I'll start from here. Sustainability, or the managing emission, is a question mark. I told you it's a challenge, conflict of interest, because you can't operate flights without emission. Investing efficient aircraft, minimizing the waste. So these are challenges actually, because there can be media statements, allegations coming on you're giving false promises, and effectively the suggestions are different. Now, committed to safety, health and safety can come students, staffs getting injured, passengers getting injured, customer security can come, emergency preparedness. So just be careful about this also. And here only students, your leadership skill demonstration is important on how are you going to handle such situations. Building customer trust, customer satisfaction. So do you take a rating system? Now they have the app they told. So you need to suggest that mobile app should ask ratings, data protection, prevention of bribery and corruption also. So corruption can come for sure. I told you fraud, corruption, bribery can come students. Internal control issues. This can come in the exam. This is the potential questions. If you have an idea of what can happen in the future, drive innovation, investing on latest technology. One calculation can come students on investment appraisal, innovation and improve customer experience and affordability. So this is also a very, very important factor to be considered students, because it's an important idea in simple language. And also students engaging with employees, offer fair rewards, providing development opportunity. And one thing students, you can have loyalty schemes. So can I write down here loyalty schemes? Now students, if you see, memberships can be applied. So this can come in marketing points, say loyalty scheme, all those things. Now students, this is the dashboard they have given. Now revenue, I have some skepticism here. Now see, the revenue is very high here. You observe this, right? The revenue is very high. Profit before tax high because correlation, right? It anyway, revenue and profit has positive relationship. And if you see here, students, I have to understand punctuality means your flight should be there in the airport 15 minutes earlier before the boarding, so that there won't be any delays. Now this is the worry I have. You observe it very clearly. Now if you see here, in 2012 the punctuality is less compared with 2010. Yeah, it's less. It has become low, but revenue is still high. Now, in your examination, this can be low in the future because this is current year revenue. Customers will complain. We don't know about that. And if you observe here in 2010, it's like this. It's like this here. If you observe, it's maintained. But here it's going down. So this will be a bigger issue in the examination. And the ROCE students, again, it's managed properly in that perspective. But punctuality has become a critical issue. So controls will come into the picture. Controls is very, very, very important. How you are going to make sure the flights are landed on time. So you have to make sure the air traffic is managed properly, because I'll come to that later. But those are the commercial acumen. Customer satisfaction, you see here, it's very, very high in 2012. But how can that be very, very high if the punctuality is low? Now, this is again, I am thinking of fraud in data. Because students, punctuality low means definitely customers would have complained. 100% sure. So can I write down here, this is a fraud, students? Can I say this is a fraud? Because there is a fraud element, I can feel. So because you see here 2010, punctuality is very high, but the customer satisfaction is very low. How can that be a negative relationship? How can that be? That is a question mark here. And the cost breakdown, 9% depreciation. So airport ground handling part, this is very expensive, because if you don't own airport, you have to pay money for everything, including the passengers cost also, because they come, they stay, they use the washroom, everything. And then students' fuel cost is another bigger challenge, if I'm not mistaken, and the pilot cost. So these are the three major hurdles. And frankly speaking, this can't be reduced. Fuel cost volatile, it can increase or decrease. This can be reduced, but quality come down. Depreciation lease can be controlled. Maintenance can be controlled. Sales and marketing can be controlled. Air traffic cost, no. So these are the main costs. Just keep in mind for your idea. Crew cost includes salary and training costs. So there can be cost cutting, like we need not give training. We take already experienced passengers or pilots to our organization. Other includes IT, head office, administration function, finance, customer service. So students, I am very much concerned with the customer satisfaction, and a balance scorecard can come in the exam. So students, can you please write down balance scorecard somewhere? And then students, if I'm not mistaken, Bell-Ridge model. There is a model called the Bell-Ridge model, examiner's favorite area. So just make sure that you are able to identify the Bellrich model also, because it is very, 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 very essential. Now, students, coming to the industry now. Students, now it will be very easy to understand the case study, because now you know where our company is. You know what is our current status. We are a low-cost airlines. Now let's see how the market is operating generally. Generally, how the market is operating. So airline industry encompasses a wide range of business called airlines, which offer air transport service to customers, normally referred to as commercial airlines. This business offers scheduled and commercial flights, which are both human passengers and cargo. Currently, we don't do cargo, but only human passengers. In most cases, the carried are on jet aircraft, commercial flights, those transport passengers on one destination to another in a pre-booked ticket. Non-commercial flights are either operated privately or by military. So there are situations of non-commercial flights which are not our segment at the moment. The airline industry forms just one sector of the wider aviation industry, which also includes all other aviation related, such as jet engine. This is related industry, aircraft manufacturer, aerospace company. Maybe we can diversify, related diversification. We can diversify in the examination, but you are aware about the challenges now we may face, because you are very much concerned about the commercial acumen at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Then students, airline industry directly and indirectly support the global trade, tourism and economic growth. Technically, yes, because without that we can't do anything. Therefore, it has a major influence in globalizations and many other industries. Passenger types. So can we focus on the passenger types? Yeah. A leisure passenger is someone traveling on a holiday stay in a hotel or holiday resort to relax or experience local tourist attraction. So if you observe, leisure tourist is in this place, leisure passenger. A business passenger is someone travels for work purpose and will normally attend a business meeting and or conference. Both types of passengers may be offered the option to travel first class, business class, economy class by some airlines, the full airlines. Now, I'll do a quick analysis for our business. So, our business is leisure. Correct, no students? We are in this leisure and we are effectively budget, so we don't have the classes. We are directly economy class. They need to pay money if they want food or extra leg space. So, the blue color ink is targeting our focus, but the other sectors are what we can do in the future. The the first class passengers pay significantly more for their tickets, but returns receive a high quality service, including dedicated airport lounges, large customer flights, unlimited food, drinks throughout the flight. So I'll write down here value chain. You may be aware about Porter's value chain, students. So they may ask you a value chain analysis to evaluate the differences in this industry. Business class passengers pay less than the first class for their tickets, receive slightly lower level service. Economy class passengers pay even less for the flight tickets, and business class passengers. An economy price ticket normally includes a standard seat with limited leg room and standard limited flight food. Now, airlines types by service, students. If you see, there are three types of service: international airlines, national airlines, and regional airlines. So, if you observe our business, where are we? We are in the regional airlines. So, we are operating on Hundria continent and we are the Coland based Hundria. Okay. So, regional airlines tends to focus on offering service within a specific region, for example, continent, in some cases, passenger service not offered by either national or international. So, this is, I can say, the lowest, and international airlines like Emirates. Now, Emirates all falls in this range, students. Emirates is here. International airlines that are largest and often well-known airlines, international airlines offer global service, carrying leisure and business passengers, cargo, or long distance. International airlines usually have multiple airport hubs, which provides customers with access to hundreds of global destinations. Then the national airlines. National airlines typically focus on offering services with their home country. Like if you see Air India. Air India is a national airline, students. Sri Lankan Airways, all these are national airlines. but may also offer access to international destination. A national airline is likely to have a smaller aircraft fleet than the international airlines and often offer service to both leisure and passenger. But regional airlines, we are giving leisure passengers. So the only problem we have is we are restricted to 130 airports only within our region. So it may be a huge continent, but within our region. Now, airline types by business model: full service carrier, low cost carrier, charter airlines, cargo airlines. Now, if you observe, where are we? We are in the low cost airline. So we can shift to this. We have the opportunity to shift to this or shift to this. Depends. But I don't think we may make a sudden decision like that at the moment, considering the challenges that we are effectively facing. So full service carriers. Full service carrier offer a range of pre-flight and on-base services within the price of the tickets. This may include checked-in baggage, in-flight meals, airport lounges, and multiple service classes such as first class, business class, and economy class. They usually fly national, international, long haul, and short haul. So that's the full one. The low cost, that is our business. Our business. Low cost carriers aim to gain competitive advantage over full service carrier by reducing cost. This is done in several ways, including having smaller fleet, smaller aircraft, by offering a more limited service, and by flying to smaller and less popular airports where landing and the ground handling fees are cheaper. For customers, flights from low carriers are often significantly cheaper. Services such as in-flight meals and baggage allowance will normally not be included in the price of the tickets as usual, but our business is. So I'll just write down here, especially Corjet, because if you observe, our business is this only, students. I believe you are very clear with that. And charter airlines, this is like booked airlines for specific purpose, like you can travel operators for specific destination they can go, and the cargo airlines for the freights. So just to have an idea about this. And students, I just want to go little more detail. So point to point is our business. I believe you are knowing Corjet is a point to point business, and hub and spoke is a little big. So in case if there is a expansion, there are expansion, the biggest challenge that we will be facing in commercial acumen is hub and spoke. Do we need to have? Do we need to train our people, pilots? Do we have an interconnecting flight? Do we have any partnership with other flights? That is very, 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 very important in that aspect. I believe that you all are getting that application very clearly, students, because that application plays a critical role. And the global statistics, and if you see the numbers they have given, if I'm not mistaken, so if you observe the global statistics, 3 billion, and if you see, students, we are only 600 million, so 20%, right, if I'm not mistaken. Effectively 20%, if I'm not mistaken, students. This is our size in simple language. And also, if you see here also, students, 73,000 flights are traveling across the world, and in Hundrea it's 15. Again, if you observe, it's again somewhere around 20, students. It's somewhere around 21%, if I'm not mistaken. And the same ranges are effectively working. So if you effectively say the market share globally we have is only 20%. So have a technical idea of that. So students, flight management activity, air traffic control, very, very important, because punctuality was a factor. So we have to identify why we are late, because it's very, very important that we increase our punctuality on time. Ground handling staff, how they manage the baggage, customer service management, aircraft boarding, refueling, all those things. So I'll just make sure, students, these are internal control things that you have to keep in mind. So best make sure that you are aware about these things. Industry challenges are very, 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 very important. And then, students, let's go for the industry KPI as well. Now, demand is cyclical. That means during the recession and the boom, it goes up and down. Demand for flights driven on economic growth. Correct, no, students? When people have enough disposable income, that is after spending for their needs and wants, then only they will spend on the leisure activities. In the last 10 years, low-cost carriers have increasingly taken market share from full-service carrier by offering passengers affordable and low cost air travel. This made air travel more accessible to much wider customer base globally. It has also introduced high level of competition to the industry as well. And as you already know, right, we have 30 low cost players in Hundria itself. That's a market statistics we have. And 27 don't know the name, but we have the Bridgea and the Lakea, if I'm not mistaken. The airline industry has been impacted with several geopolitical events such as terror attacks. Now, Ukraine-Russia war can be told students because that affected, and I think Qatar blockade was an effect, if I'm not mistaken. Qatar blockade was an issue. Extreme weather can be an issue. These have led short-term and long-term consequence for the demand. Terror cyber attacks have impacted the customer confidence. Correct. Fuel is one of the biggest factors, students, 20% annual. So it's a risk to be considered. So we can go for forward contracts just to make sure we buy the fuel in bulk, or we partner with all the airlines and control the price. The airline industry is still some way away from operating craft. Alternative fuels such as biofuels are coming. Good idea. CSR, sustainability, all these things can be used instead of crude oil. Government and customers are increasingly environment sensitive. So greener factor is there. Environment factors are mostly considered. They are aware about carbon footprint contributing 3%. So definitely can come, students. Despite environmental concerns, the commercial international air traffics, all the factors are mentioned. The industry KPI, students, a quick revision. Available seat per kilometers. They may ask you to develop new KPIs. So can you write down here? Develop new KPIs. Develop new what, students? KPI. So available seat, revenue per seat, load factor, revenue per kilometer. Now revenue passenger per kilometer. This is composite cost, students, like DHL also charges for the distance and for the weight also. Customer carbon emission per customer, punctuality. So these are the KPIs that is given. But students, you can consider other KPIs also. If I'm not mistaken, students, other KPIs that can be used in our industry or specifically to our organizations successful. If I'm not mistaken, students, like we can effectively consider KPIs such as, students, if I'm not mistaken, is the wastage, because there can be wastage, food wastage, everything can be there. That is one factor to be considered, if I'm not mistaken. Fines, students, that is one factor to be considered, if I'm not mistaken. And then, students, asset engine replacement, that will be another factor, because engine replacement is very, very important. These are the things. And industry body. The industry has a global trade association, formulate policies across support activity, promotes airlines. So this is just the idea. There is a body that controls it. Now, students, I believe that everyone is very, very clear with that. As a teacher, I always say you have to prepare for the worst, and you have to expect for the best, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. You just think in the worst case picture and do your best as whatever possible, students. Prepare your best and expect the worst to come, so that you will be extremely a strong leader in the exam. So I'll just write down the models. I can say a balance scorecard will be one model, if I'm not mistaken, just to make sure balance scorecard model can come, students. And then, students, if I'm not mistaken, Harman strategic model can come. The automation function, all are there. And then, students, if I'm not mistaken, diamond theory can come into the picture just for your ideology. Then, students, AI cyber risk can come. And then, students, risk can come. Internal controls can come, students. Internal controls can come. Ethics can come, students. Ethics can come. Fraud can come. Just make sure, students. And then corporate governance, as usual, there can be a corporate governance question they may ask, specifically asking you these factors, if I'm not mistaken, students. And digital strategies like big data already given. So I'll go with machine learning, if I'm not mistaken, machine learning. All those factors can come. And change management, there can be change management as well. SFA framework, suitability, feasibility, acceptability framework. So students, when you go to the exam, remember it's 3 hours exam. understand the question requirement very well. Only three questions, and you can answer independently. You can do question one, then you have to go for question two, and question three, you have the option to come back as well. So if you have any questions or doubt, please put it into the chat box below. All the best with the examination, students. Remember all the model applied to the situation. Be very careful on what you write and make sure you don't write in bullet form. It is not accepted. Structure it into small paragraph. Make it very clear for the examiner. Definitely you will get good results at the end of the day. Thank you very much, students, for your efforts and good luck with your examination. We'll see you with successful results and flying colors after the examination. Stay cool and calm. Positive vibes is very important. All the best, students. Thank you very much for your time.